Week 3 of the fantasy baseball season. Here's a few hitters that look to sell and trade this week. The first hitter, Xavier Edwards of the Miami Marlins. He's off to a great start to start the year, but obviously it's not going to hold up for Edwards early in the season. Only 37 at-bats, 1 home run, 5 RBIs, 9 runs scored, 2 stolen bases, a 471 average, and a 500 on-base percentage for Xavier Edwards. Obviously, last season, pretty decent year for him, 27 stolen bases, 283 average, a 343 on base, but he's not a guy that's going to hit home runs. He's not going to drive in a lot of runs. Obviously, I know he could steal 25, 30 bases. He's going to score anywhere from 75 to 90 runs is Xavier Edwards, but this batting average is way over the top right now in the early going, and we do see inflated numbers obviously early in the season, especially the first few weeks. April 3rd at the Yankees, 2 for 4, a homer, an RBI in that one. April 4th at the Yankees, 3 for 4, 2 runs, an RBI. April 5th at the Yankees, 2 for 4, 3 RBIs, a stolen base. And April 6th versus the Reds, 0 for 3. So we had a great series versus the New York Yankees. With the Marlins, they actually went out there and a 3-game set, surprisingly for them, versus a good Yankee pitching staff. They did score 16 runs, was this Marlins team, but we know their offense, they're going to have trouble this season driving in runs. We know Xavier Edwards, he's batting anywhere from 2 to 7th in the lineup for this Marlins team. But this Marlins team, they just don't generate a lot of runs. And also as well, Edwards, he's more of a singles hitter, and he's not a guy, like I said, that's going to have pop or driving runs. So right now, he's pretty much a big batting average guy. And if that falls off, his value go down a lot is Edwards. I would sell him off this week. Next hitter, Brandon Nimmo of the Texas Rangers. Nimmo, he's off to a nice start for this Ranger team to begin the season, but he's a guy that he's not really a high batting average guy as well. I know he's going to have some pop, 20 to 25 home runs. His on-base percentage isn't what it was years ago when he first broke into the league with the New York Mets, and I know last year was 25 and 92 with a 262 average, but Nimmo, he was in a better lineup possibly last season with Lindor, obviously, Juan Soto, Pete Alonso with that New York Met team. And this year with Texas, they definitely have some good hitters, but I don't think, obviously, to the talent of where it was last season. So far, he's off to a great start. A homer, 4 RBIs, 7 runs scored, a stolen base, a 389 average, and a 463 on base percentage. But Brandon Nimmo, very obviously streak hitter, and now this season he's back in the leadoff spot with this Texas Ranger team, where over the last couple seasons with the New York Mets he wasn't leading off, and that was Francisco Lindor in that spot. So he's definitely going to have to change his approach up a little bit, and I think the home run numbers are going to go down. Obviously the RBIs are going to go down as well, batting leadoff in the last few games. April 3rd versus Cincinnati, 2 for 4 with a run. April 4th versus the Reds, 0 for 3. April 5th versus the Reds, 2 for 4. And April 6th versus the Mariners in that one, 1 for 4 in that game. So Nimmo, he's cooling off just a little bit over the last few games. And like I said, throughout his career, especially the last couple seasons, he's been a streak hitter. And so far, no doubt about it, he's off to a great start. But I don't think it's going to hold up, especially batting average-wise, for Brandon Nimmo. And I think the pop is going to take a hit as well. Next hitter, Mike Trout of the Los Angeles Angels. So Mike Trout, he showed some pop in the first series of the season at the Houston Astros, but his batting average has definitely gone down quickly in the last couple games. Is Mike Trout, and now he's banged up a little bit with a hand injury. And the thing is, Trout, he's an elite talent when healthy, no doubt about it. Big power hitter, going to drive in runs obviously as well. But just injury after injury it's been for Mike Trout, unfortunately, over the last few seasons. And obviously you're not going to expect a full season out of him, even though last year he did get 456 at bat, 26 and 64 RBIs, but also batting average is going to be down as well. So on the year, 2 homers, 3 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 8 runs scored, a 212 average, and a 435 on base percentage. So he still has a good eye on the plate. He's still getting on base. Obviously, he's Mike Trout, batting second in this lineup. But now with this hand injury, and like I said, with his track record the last 3-4 seasons, it's always a concerning sign for fantasy owners. So right now, I put Trout on the block and see if anyone would jump in a deal and give you a decent value. April 1st at the Cubs, 0 for 3 a run. April 3rd versus the Mariners, 0 for 2 a run. April 4th versus the Mariners, 0 for 4. And April 5th versus the Mariners, 1 for 4 with a run. And Trout didn't start with the hand injury day-to-day right now versus the Atlanta Braves in tonight's ball game. So Mike Trout, like I said, we know he's a great talent. We know he still has power, could drive in runs, but he's just never healthy. And that batting average is taking a big hit over the last couple seasons. So this week, I would sell him off, especially in that hand injury, especially if you could get anything of decency, maybe a low-end starting pitcher and a decent bat in the deal. That's the type of deal I would look for Trout this week. Next hitter, Christian Walker of the Houston Astros. So Christian Walker, I still think he's going to have power. He's going to drive in runs, but the batting average is way over so far to begin the season. And he's a guy in his mid to late 30s now where these hitters start to decline. But obviously he's off to a good start. 2 home runs on the year for Walker, 12 RBIs, 7 runs scored, a 324 average, and a 405 on base percentage. So Christian Walker, we know he has pop. We know he's a guy that's been a solid defensive first baseman as well throughout his career, and he got a nice contract last offseason from this Houston Astros team. But he's also someone who's going to strike out a whole lot, and also that batting average is going to take a hit sooner than later. So right now, while he's off to a good start, and he's had some good matchups early in the season versus weak pitching teams like Los Angeles Angels first series of the season. Boston, their pitching is middle of the pack, and the Athletics, their rotation isn't all that great. And now with series opening up at the Rockies here to start the week. April 3rd at the A's 0-2. April 4th at the A's 3-for-5, a homer, 2 RBIs, 3 runs scored. April 5th at the A's 1-for-5, a homer, 2 RBIs. And April 6th at the Rockies in that one, 2-for-3 with an RBI. So he's playing good baseball. He's showing power, no doubt about it, is Christian Walker. But like I said, he's a guy that's going to be going through peaks and valleys. And for the most part, at this point of his career, he's a guy that's going to hit for good power, but he's going to have a low batting average. He's going to strike out a whole lot. And pretty much he's a 2-category type of player where on-base percentage hasn't been great for him as well over the last couple seasons. So right now, while he's off to a great start, and like I said, these hitters in their mid-30s to late 30s, they start to decline, and they're pretty much just power hitters more than anything without bringing you other categories. I think Christian Walker, he's someone I would put on the block and sell this week in the final hitter. I want to talk Murakami of the Chicago White Sox. Murakami, we know the power is legit, no doubt about it, but I think this is a guy that he's going to have a lot of trouble in the major leagues adjusting. We heard in the offseason he had trouble anything over 93 miles per hour, even though it could have been a myth for Murakami. But definitely the off-speed stuff has been a problem for him. And so far to start the season, 4 home runs, 7 RBIs, 8 runs scored, a 210 batting average, and a 332 on base percentage for Murakami, and 13 strikeouts so far in the early going in 34 at bats. He's going to strike out a whole lot. And like I said, that batting average, I think it could be in the low 200s or even below 200 for Murakami, even though I think he is a guy that can hit 30 home runs. But like I said, he hurts you everywhere else besides the home run power. April 3rd versus Toronto, 1-for-4. April 4th versus Toronto, 1-for-3, a homer, 3 RBIs. April 5th versus Toronto, 0-for-3 with a run. And April 6th in tonight's ball game versus Baltimore, he finished 0-for-3 with a run in that ball game. So like I said, he's on a bad Chicago White Sox team. Teams are going to figure him out a little bit, pitch around him as well if they have to, where he's batting 3rd or 4th in this lineup most ball games is Murakami. But like I said, he's definitely going to have power, and he can hit 25, 30 home runs, but that average could be low. He's going to strike out a whole lot. And also, this is a bad White Sox team where a lot of these home runs could be solo shots. So right now, well, he's amongst the league leaders with 4 home runs in the early going. He's a hitter I would sell this week, and also he does have good versatility, which can help you sell him off as well. At first and third base, that's a few hitters I look to sell and trade for week 3 of the fantasy baseball season.